US National Whitewater Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, just a 6-hour drive south of DC. You can see I've got my gear, I got a hat, I even got a shirt. This is that NAR Boys Instagram page, bought a sweatshirt from them, I'm pretty stoked about it. That's the merch update, and let's dive in. We'll give you some details about the USNWC and what you can do there. First things first, you're going to need tickets. It's $35 for a whitewater kayak for the day. You can either go to the main ticket place, wait in line, you need a waiver. That's right by the outfitters. Or you can walk down to the pool once you've gotten your waiver done. There's a little path down the left through some trees by a pavilion tent, and you can actually get your passes for the day there at the river center, which is even closer to where you're going to put in, so you can bring all your boats down in the first fell swoop. Okay, probably the most commonly run channel here is the Wilderness Channel. There are two options. The Wilderness runs along the left edge of this map. It starts as 2 channels. I'm standing above the instruction channel on the bridge here, which is easier. The Wilderness Channel is a little bit harder, and it's across the way there. You can see they converge at the Confluence Pool, which starts you on some rapids that end in Sunset Drop, which is what you can see me running right here. On the opposite side of the park from Wilderness, you have the Competition Channel, which drops the same amount of vertical feet, but in about a quarter the distance, so it's a little more challenging. Some people call it a Class 4. This is what it looks like. All these runs deposit you in the same bottom pool from which you can ride this boat conveyor belt up to the top and choose what to run next. Just past the conveyor belt landing on your right in the upper pool, you'll see this little convenient place to take out. In August, it's like 100 degrees in North Carolina, and you need to be hydrating. You'll want to take breaks. This is a great place to do that and sort of use as a central put-in takeout. The dizzying array of rapids to choose from, all of which we will get a look at now. Okay, so from go, Wilderness Channel starts the same for everybody. You are going to go through entrance exam, which is this nice little booth or drop at the very top. Then you are going to hang a left to go down instruction channel. If you continue to your right, you'll go through Dave's Dilemma and the whole deal, which we'll get a look at on the next lap. But for now, we're going to go left into the instruction channel just to get a look at it. This is my first time on the water in the park, and so I'm getting used to how it moves and flows. And one thing that's interesting about it is that since it's made of concrete and it doesn't have the natural river rubble, debris, rocks, trees breaking up the flow, it has very well-defined features. Waves are waves, holes are holes, and eddy lines are eddy lines. They're very well defined. And one other thing about that smooth concrete construction is that the eddies really do flow upstream pretty quickly. So you might find yourself kind of fighting for your life. Maybe you're having a bad time down the rapid. You think, okay, I'll catch an eddy. I'll just eddy out. And then you eddy out and slowly, or rather quickly, you're floating back up to that feature that you just tried to get away from. It just requires a little active management, active paddling. And those are the things I'm starting to become aware of as we progress towards the main brunt of Wilderness Channel. So now I'm in the confluence, which is where Wilderness Channel and the instructional channel meet. There's some weird converging currents and boiling water, that kind of stuff. Don't worry about it. The next thing you're going to go through is Well Hole and a few other just little rapids, finally culminating in Sunset, which is a big drop that also has a cool sneak line on the right, which I will show you. One thing to keep aware of here is you really want to be punching holes straight on. If you happen to go into one of these holes sideways, it'll be tricky because there's a good chance it'll be retentive, grab you in a side surf. Not to worry, you could just flip over and it'll flush you. There's a chance of scraping on concrete and stuff because it's a little bit shallow, but ultimately lesson learned, and this didn't happen to me again in 2 days of paddling there. You can see I basically just didn't know this thing was here and I was being lazy with my boat angle, but now that I'm here, basically I'm leaning downstream so that it doesn't window shade me and basically just surfing it. The problem is that I need to be digging with my right hand in the water and making my way closer to the edge of the hole. That's where you can actually exit, and I'm just not able to, don't have a lot of experience getting side surfed and probably should have practiced it more, but I can hear my paddle hitting concrete, and so I'm kind of scared to flip. And once I make my way up further away from that concrete, I just let myself flip. Finally, I don't fight it, and I roll up and flush no problem just in time for M wave. All right, so roll up, no problem. This eddy that I'm looking at is last chance eddy. Basically here, the whole channel takes a curve right, and that's a big long slide just around the corner that ends in M wave, which is a wave hole, basically meaning that there's water still rushing underneath, but a big tall foam pile that's recirculating. This will flip you if you try to hit it straight on and you're not leaning forward, not paddling, don't have the right boat angle. And if you want to just slide right over it, you just hit it left of center and it'll just carry you straight through to the rest. This hole is called shutdown, and it is way grabbier than M wave, so be careful with it. Much to the disappointment of my experienced paddling buddy Adam. Thanks, Adam, for the trip, by the way. He helped us get down there for our first time and sort everything out. The end of this, Biscuits and Gravy, this is the last rapid, but the park is running at a lower flow than usual. Only 5 out of 6 pumps are running. That's going to be the case for a while until the park figures out how to update, I think, an electrical panel in there or something. And so usually this is super bouncy left to right, but it's pretty washed out and not doing much the weekend I'm there. Okay, this is a full lap of Wilderness Channel once I've had some time to warm up on my first day. I think it's my 8th run, so I'm looking for a big boof at the beginning of entrance exam. Okay, so now I'm making my way towards that Huey Lewis booth. There's just these little riffles here to contend with, keeping my boat angle centered at the bridge. Now I'm looking for a more of a righty boof here to get over that, but I missed it. Instead, I punched straight through. That's okay. Making my way down to Dave's Dilemma, get my boat angle left, ride it just right of this hole, paddle, 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 right over that little seam into the main flow, looking to just punch the shoulder. All right, now coming up to the drop that is, I believe, taking us into the confluence. Yep. You know you're in the confluence because of those little bumpers in the middle there. That's some boiling water, but I make my way through just fine. This is well hole and making my way towards Sunset. Now, Sunset has a pretty exciting little opportunity on the right. We're coming up to it here. Basically, you want to be 2 inches left of that rock with a lot of speed, and you can bang straight into the eddy, paddle, 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 so it doesn't grab you, but you can see it's pretty calm there. I'm looking for redemption in these holes. These are called snake lips. Kind of a funny name. So get my boat angle right, kind of fall through it. Yoop, just make it. Almost a second side surf there. So I'm telling them I'm just going to punch M wave, getting a ton of speed. I want to be dead center, leaning forward and paddling. The code has a ton of bow rocker, which gets me right up and over this like a ramp. And from here, I'm really just looking to flow down. You can see some rafts, which occasionally you will need to contend with. You want to pick your way through them, give them some distance when you can. It's actually really great training, but they can also hit you and they don't tend to navigate super well. So it's a hazard, no doubt, especially given the rough concrete. Brief reminder here, you do not want to stand up or rub your hand on the wall or something for support. It'll take your skin off. It's also pretty important, to protect yourself and your boat. Some people wear elbow pads, even some people will duct tape the front and back of their boat if they're going to be trying to stern squirt and stuff because it's so shallow. Anyway, make our way here to the conveyor belt, ride it back on. It's got little rubber things that'll grab your boat just fine. It's a very short ride to the top. We're going to drop back in and then make a choice about what comes next. You can also do fun little tricks here at the top, whether it's a paddle toss or like a 360. Those are some things I was working on as well. There will be footage of that. Compared to Wilderness Channel, Comp Channel is shorter, faster, and much more violent. It's the same amount of water going through the same drop, but in a shorter amount of time. And eventually, Carnage Corner basically shoots you left down this big drop called Big Drop. As long as you hit big drop basically in the same place that you're hitting M wave, you'll be okay. It's just harder to line up for because there's more to contend with. This is much harder. I only ran it once. When I go back, I'm planning to run it more frequently. But, you know, hey, what are you going to do? You got to work your way up to stuff, right? I'm thinking, don't go into the wall. Don't go into the wall. Pretty sure I hurt myself with that draw stroke. Don't pull with your biceps, even if you're scared. You're going so fast, it's hard to realize that you're being pushed offline. In this case, I'm being pushed into this rock, and I'm basically desperate to get back into the flow because my intention was to bomb this. I didn't really want to try and catch any eddies my first time down. I remember scouting this and saying, don't go too far left or you'll hit that concrete thing, which I imagine is usually underwater when there are 6 pumps running. There's a rock here, FYI. All right, kept my edge. Heading into Carnage Corner, all I know is once I come around that corner, I want to be right of the rock, and then I want to come back left so that I can hit big drop just left of center, moving left to punch it on the left like M-Wave. I could probably punch this, especially in my code, but I'm hitting it just left of center because that's the beta I got and it worked with M-Wave. You can see that there's a much bigger foam pile on this one, and I kind of rebound off of it. My right knee goes way up and I need to brace on my left. All right, so Keith was willing to film this for me. Thanks, buddy. And you can see basically just what this looks like from a third-person view, how fast we're going, where there are eddies, all of that good stuff. And huge thanks to Adam for showing me the lines. I basically just followed him and bombed it so I could get it over with, you know what I mean? Okay, the end is no big deal, but I want to be clear that that was by far the fastest and most powerful water I've ever paddled. It doesn't come across all the way on GoPro, and you can barely even tell just looking at it in the third person. But once you experience what this artificial park water feels like, you get a sense of how big and powerful it is. So definitely go for it. Consequences are pretty low, but just keep in mind, like you can lose some skin, you could break your arm. I mean, there's plenty of stuff you could do here, so take care of yourself. There are rafts, and Keith was playing with the GoPro and managed to capture some truly excellent raft carnage. It just goes to show you how powerful Shutdown Hole is. We're back on the Wilderness channel now, but have a look and a laugh with me. I'll leave you with this. The US National Whitewater Center is paradise. You don't often get all the luxury of parking in a parking lot and spending as much time as you want in really high quality whitewater without the need to shuttle, with food and beverage and safety and everything taken care of. I mean, it's almost like a Topgolf experience, but for whitewater. Go down there, spend multiple days, because your first day you're just going to want joy laps like I did on Wilderness Channel. But then dedicate some time to practicing real skills in these hard to replicate features. I mean, this is really a truly impressive place that's worth visiting. I'm going to plan a 10-day vacation down here and just work on my boating skills. So 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. And I'm sure it's even better when all 6 pumps are running.